Hello and good evening. Welcome back. This is Robert Vaughn with Let's Talk Radio. And today we have our panel. We have Mike Shomo and Verl Majid, as usual. And also we have a very special guest today, Adam Morgan. Adam is a Clevelander. His name is Adam Lamont Morgan. He's a descendant of Garris Augustus Morgan. And that name may not sound familiar to you, but people in Cleveland know who Garrett Morgan is. He's a famed inventor who invented the gas mask and the traffic light and also hair care products, among many others. There was a gas explosion in Cleveland when they were tunneling under the lake, and there were almost 200 people who were going to die because they couldn't get to him because it was contaminated. So he said, "I've got this gas mask," and they said, "Well, go ahead and get them if it's so good." And that's what he did. He took his gas mask and he went and rescued almost 200 people. So that was the birth of the gas mask, which kind of changed the course of firefighting, emergency rescue, warfare, and a lot of other things. And also the traffic light. You can imagine before there were traffic lights what it must have been like driving. So he is responsible for saving quite a few lives. Now, Adam Morgan, his descendant, is a graduate of Kent State University, has a master's degree and a Bachelor of Arts in Pan-African Studies. He also worked with the Shaker School System, and he's CEO and co-founder of a nonprofit organization called the International Men of Excellence. And he helps at-risk children. He works with the juvenile kids from the Juvenile Justice Center or Juvenile Jail. That's good work because those kids, they need somebody to look up to, need somebody to help them out. So that's great work. He's also a member of the Kappa Alpha Psi fraternity, as well as a Freemason. He has two boys and a girl, and he's a grandfather. A spiritual man whose purpose on earth is to help people, especially African Americans, and seek all of the true knowledge of self. He also adds that he's bipolar and a survivor of sexual abuse. He believes in a creator put him through these situations so he can help others. So without further hesitation, Adam, I'd like you to go ahead and talk to us. Tell us a little bit about what you do, introduce yourself, and we'll kick this thing off.
All right, thanks for having me. First of all, I'd like to greet you all in the words of peace. Assalamu alaikum, Habari Gani, Hotep, and praise the Lord. I'd like to give praises to the Creator. Without the Creator, none of this would be possible. Also, like to give praises to our ancestors. Without our ancestors, we will not be here today. And again, I thank you for allowing me to be a part of your radio show.
Okay. Well, Mike, why don't you go ahead and kick it off? I'm sure you have a lot of questions.
First of all, thank you for coming out. Appreciate you coming. I'd like for you to kind of like clarify, what are those that you feel that are at risk?
Can you say that again?
Okay, the children or the youth that you are determining at risk and classify it. How far does that go?
As far as the definition of at risk, I mean, there's children who are at risk of falling, leaving school, not getting their diploma, at risk of going to jail, at risk of being incarcerated. It's those type of at-risk things. At risk of becoming involved with drugs and alcohol, things of that nature.
Good. Tell us a little bit about your organization, Adam.
Well, the organization is called the International Men of Excellence. We started at Kent State University it was called the Men of Excellence first. And with three other individuals, Bedlam Green, Nick Turner, and Elliot Montgomery. We was living in the silver medals at the time and listening to music. We listened to things like Public Enemy, other music from a long time ago, Last Poets, things of that nature. We decided to do something. We started.
You're going back now, man. The Last Poets. You're going back now.
Okay. You're too young for that.
So we decided to do something, and we put the organization on the campus, and we won Organization of the Year. Bedlam Green became president of Black United Students. I became vice president of Black United Students, and we just ran from there. And again, we had organization of the year. And after we left college, I became assistant principal at Hope Academy off 55th and Broadway under the tutelages of leader Linda Harris. And I saw there was a need for organization for these, especially for these young African American males. And so I decided to get a 501c3. Somebody already had the Men of Excellence. So I changed it from the Men of Excellence to Time, the International Men of Excellence. Time is time to make a change. And that's how we got to the International Men of Excellence. We've had our program in Marcus Garvey in East Cleveland. We had a program at Hope Academy. We had a program, we went down to Youngstown State and did a program for Malcolm X. We also won an award. Well, we got second place in Atlanta. It was a red carpet affair. I don't know how they found me, but I found us, but they did. We didn't get the national prize, but we got a certificate from, I think, who's the governor of Georgia now, and saying that we're a good citizen, things of this nature. And I'm like, I only been in Atlanta one weekend. I'm a good citizen. So, you know, that was
pretty good.
And we also won an award from Women in the Mission from Akron. I don't know how they found me either, but I got the Dr. Martin Luther King Drumline Award, and we've been hitting the ground ever since. The Creator has put people in my path, like Mr. Mike Shomo, to help guide me and to do the things that we do. This job is not an easy job, especially dealing with children who are incarcerated, but somebody has to do it. I refuse to be afraid of my own people.
Okay, all right. Burl?
Yeah, first I'd like to say thanks so much for coming on. I really appreciate the work you're doing, because the youth are our future, and if we can't save them, then we can't save ourselves.
That's correct.
Right. So the people who are involved in the youth that are involved in your program or get involved, how long are they typically in the program, and is it a verifiable way that it's making a difference, or I mean, how are you like quantifying that?
Can you repeat that? Because I can barely hear you.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm saying the youth that are in the program, how long do they typically stay in there? And is there a way you can see how it's really verified it's making a big difference in their lives?
Well, we have a program called Cultivating the Weeds, and Cultivating the Weeds is what they are. We see them as weeds, and while they're taken outside society, we can cultivate them while they're incarcerated. We have part of the program is that we have the children. A lot of children, when we go down there and talk to them, they won't speak what's on their minds in front of their peers because they don't want to be seen as soft or, you know, things not strong or things of this nature. So what they do is write us, and we write them back. And the purpose of that is we can see how their writing skills are and their thought process and things of this nature.
Oh, okay.
Some of the children, and when I see them just on the street, a lot of them say, "Thank you, Mr. Morgan. Thank you for you and your organization for coming down and helping us. It's changed my life." And some of them, it has not. Some of them have went down 71. So some of them we've helped, and some of them maybe they didn't get it yet. Maybe when they down 71, it click in their head. But to answer the question we have made, they said as long as you save one, you just saved a lot. But I don't believe in that. I believe in if I got 20 children, I'm at least gonna save 10 of them.
But you're planting seeds, and some of them may not mature at the same rate as others. So at least you're out here, you're out here on the front lines, really doing the work. I think that's very significant.
You know, you had a reading program. Is that still being maintained and delivered to the people that's incarcerated?
Yes, it's called Vitabu, which is Kiswahili for the word books that were free of mind. The purpose of that is to get young people, not just young people, but adults as well, to start reading more. What we do, we use non-traditional books because we're trying to catch a non-traditional fish. You know, you got to have a certain bait if you want to catch a certain fish. So we use books like Makes Me Want to Holler by Nathan McCall, Monster by Cody Scott.
Monster Cody Scott.
Yeah, Monster Cody Scott. uh, Blu-rays, Black Redemption, the story of Stanley Tookie Williams. We use books like that. And so once we get them to read, and people say, "Why you read?" Because most of these books I'm talking about are people who have been incarcerated or been a part of gangs or things of that nature. What I'm trying to, like I said, I'm trying to hook a certain fish. And once I get them to start reading that, they'll read things like Miseducation, the Negro, Malcolm X, things of that nature. I just got to get them interested in reading in the first place.
Well, one of the things, I read, They Call Me Monster when it first came out. I still got the hard copy of it and everything. But, with Tookie Williams, with Monster Cody, those are stories that at the end didn't end well. Okay. All that gang banging, because, Monster Cody was original Crips or was like that started it. And when they were like 12, 13 years old, killing people and doing things and jumping on people and gang banging. So these kids here in Cleveland, they have no idea of the magnitude of what gang banging is out in California, because a lot of the people that's being killed is Crips killing Crips, Bloods killing Bloods, because the whole sect is the block. Even if they're the same, organization, they would still, you're not on my turf. It's a turf thing. They say, well, and Monster Cody, his father was a NFL football player,
Mm-hmm.
So, and he lived in a nice neighborhood. So that's what they were saying, so, why would you come down here where the gang banging is at? But those things are, do y'all diagnose different things like that to the kids also?
Yes, we sit down and talk while we're reading the books with them. We have discussions with them while we're reading the books, and those things come up, like why of a person who's coming from a good quote unquote family background gangbanger. Or I said with Tookie Williams, he got the lecture chair. I think that's what he got, but under the tutelage of Arnold Schwarzenegger. But while he was in there, he started writing books about telling children how to stay out of gangs. And he almost won the Nobel Peace Prize. I think he got considered for that and things of this nature. So we talk about these things. We talk about what makes a person wants to become a gangbanger. What causes this? Is this because the fathers are not in the home, or they don't have a good family structure and things of this nature? And once we get these children to talking, a lot of things come out, and it seems they see why they are the way they are.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Adam, let me say this one thing, because I just want to talk to him about, because I asked somebody years ago, what would make a child want to join a gang called the Heartless Felons? Is it they're not getting the message in there? You know what I'm saying? Okay, go ahead, Robert.
I'm gonna answer what I want to say to him, then we'll speak to that. Well, one of the things that I found out, because I had a cousin who lived in Watts when I was younger. He's about the same age as I am. And he wasn't a gangbanger. He was what you call an affiliate. He kind of grew up with the guys. But a lot of the gangs out there are different than the gangs here, and even the gangs in New York, because a lot of the gangs out there are intergenerational. Their father was in the same gang, their grandfather was in the same gang. So that's really all they know. And it's not
culture,
it's not a question about what gang are you going to be in. You grow up, in the gang, and that's just part of your life. Where it's different from here. I think here you have guys that want to be tough guys and want to join gangs, because I guess they feel their strength in numbers, but out there, and I thought that was a real distinction, between a lot of the gangs. Did you find here, Adam, that a lot of the gang members it's an intergenerational thing, or is it just like you said, Mike, the Heartless Felons? That's a good question. I talked to our friend Mr. Samad about that, and he felt that a lot of youngsters now, man, because of the lead poisoning and the drugs, that they're just, they do things that really don't make sense, and I think that would probably be at the top of the list, But Adam, do you find that the gang membership is intergenerational, or is it something that they make a decision to do? And like you say, maybe their father and their mother are upstanding citizens, and they decide to join a gang. What are you seeing mostly with the younger people?
Well, it's a combination of the two. Some of them are just been brought up, like Mr. Shomo said, it's their fathers, not just their fathers, their mothers, because what we're finding out in the juvenile detention center, these women are becoming more violent than the men. So,
Not funny, but it's funny.
That's absolutely right.
Yeah, I hear that that's the fastest segment of the fastest growing segment of the prison population, Black women.
Yeah, and I have a saying: if you educate a man, you educate an individual, you educate a woman, you educate a nation. If our women are messed up, we're in trouble, because the women are the first teachers, and if they out here gang banging, what the children are going to be doing. They're going to be gang following right behind them.
Right.
But we talk about gangs, but we try to, after we read the books, we try to get away from that gang, because we don't want to get caught up. We don't know who's affiliated with who. When we go in there and talk to these young people, it's like, look, right now, y'all in one gang, because y'all in one pod. Y'all should be a family in here. This is one gang right now. You're not Crips, you're not Bloods, you're not Hoovers, you're not Rolling 60s, you ain't whatever. Right now, y'all need to stick together as one, because y'all going through this together. So that hardest felon stuff, that's a whole nother story. I really, that saddens me, but I don't know what's going on with that. I can't answer that question.
Well, one thing I've noticed, that we have so many people coming back from being incarcerated that sometimes certain portions of the community take on this penitentiary mentality. They still come out, they got to have a shank in their pocket, and there's no trusting, and we've gotten away from that African village where people, people look out for each other, each one, that kind of thing, and we're just left with like a bigger penitentiary.
Right. Well, it's part. The system is set up for, and this is just my opinion, I may be wrong, but I think the system, especially the prison system, is set up for us to fail. Right. A lot of people, they try to stop me from bringing in people who have been incarcerated. They say, well, and Mr. Morgan, if he has a felony, he can't come down here to speak, or he can come speak one time, but he can't come down, or he or she can't come down on a consistent basis. In my mind, I'm like, these are the people that they really need to hear from, people who have been there. As long as I've been in jail is about a week. So they look at me like, Mr. Morgan, you don't know what you're talking about. You only been in jail for a week. I mean, look, I'm a quick learner. That's all it took. It took me to say, look, I don't want no part of this. I don't like being told what to do, and I like women too much. So this is not going to work for me.
I got it. Go ahead.
But the Creator has still allowed me to slip through the system and bring people who have been pharmaceutical salesmen, people who have committed murder, to come down there from time to time and talk to these young people.
I've got a question with, because of COVID and just like, even now we're on the Zoom, is there any way that, they can Zoom that stuff to have people coming in on Zoom, set up a time for them to, to broadcast and, let the people sit there, and you would monitor them while you there, but the actual person is on the Zoom. As that technology and stuff has entered into your repertoire?
Yeah, we because when the COVID hit, that's when we stopped going down to juvenile detention center. But we had to figure out a way to still interact with these children. So what we wanted to do is start doing Zoom calls and stuff like that. But the paperwork and going through the system, they go to classes and they have computers, but sometimes the powers that be don't want that to happen for whatever reason.
I know exactly. I was teaching in the women's prison system. And one thing that I did not do was call them prisoners or inmates. I called them residents. Now, the warden and the guards, they were offended by that. They were saying, these are inmates. They said, these are people. They live here. They reside here.
Right.
But they're saying because, we were treating the people real good, they didn't like that. They didn't like that. They wanted to make it hard on them. Well, okay, so they did something. They did this and they're in prison. But, you can make it hard for them without dogging them. And that's the whole thing about the system because, I don't know if you know, Adam, but I'm running for councilman in Ward 4. And one of the things that I say, because I've seen you work and I've seen other people work, and I've worked with, the people that are doing some of these programs and stuff, the nonprofit organizations, and they never have enough money. They never have enough money to do the things that they need to do. And when I put that into I thought about you because I know the good work that you could possibly do with more money. So a lot of organizations get money and they got the big, thick salaries for the other people. And that's basically what they get the grants and stuff for, is to, make sure that their people are taken care of, because they're running out of money. We got to find a grant that's got to keep us going and keep us going. And they get into that cycle. But what we need to give money to those people that could get the job done, just like yourself, to make sure that the work is actually being done and getting this stuff together,
Right.
Okay.
We not to cut you off. We received several grants from Neighborhood Connection for $5,000, but that $5,000 goes. So some people may sound like a lot of money, but
no,
with running the organization, that's peanuts. And I've had a hard time trying to get into with the Cleveland Foundation, things of this nature. And then you got people of different organizations fighting for crumbs.
right.
Everybody thinks their program is better than this, and I should get this money, and what you doing, and things of this nature. And we don't operate like that. We just try to get what we can to help these young people.
Okay.
Hey, Adam, let me ask you a question. Who has the final say on who you bring in prison and even getting some of these resources? Is it like the warden or somebody? Well, resources would be different, but in terms of bringing people in, is the warden stopping you or other people?
I go through a person who's a volunteer coordinator. She assists me with coming down there. So because we've been doing this for about 10 years.
Wow.
When it was I forget where the old juvenile detention center was, but it's not where it's at now for Quincy. I forget where it was at.
22nd. It was on 22nd.
Yeah. Remember that?
Yeah. So I was going down there when it was down there. So, she's seeing that because some people are fly by night organizations. They come in and they're there for a minute and they get the children's hopes up high and then they disappear. Mm-hmm. And we've shown that over time that we've shown consistency. And I think that's one thing she respects is that we have shown consistency, because I've seen some people come down there and say, oh, I can't handle this. This is too much. People talk the talk, but don't want to walk the walk.
Right. Okay, I want to just switch gears here for a minute. Now, in doing some of my research for having you on the show, I found out some things that I didn't know. I always heard that, Garrett Morgan was he was involved in the community, but he was really involved in the community. He, in 1908, he co-founded the Cleveland Association of Colored Men, which later merged with the NAACP. He served as his treasurer. He was a member of the NAACP, and he donated a lot of money to HBCUs before it was fashionable, back in the early 1900s. In 1920, he founded the Cleveland Call, which was a weekly newspaper, which merged and became the Cleveland Call and Post, which is still around today. He purchased a farm near Wakeman, Ohio, and built the Wakeman Country Club, which was a country club for black golfers because black golfers weren't allowed at white country clubs. He was also a member of the Prince Hall Freemasons, and he went to Antioch Baptist Church, which I thought was kind of, talk about living history. He went to Antioch Baptist Church. He actually ran for a seat on council as an independent, but wasn't elected. But he certainly had an impact on not only Cleveland politics, but the Cleveland community. Is that something that, is that like a family tradition of yours that you kind of carry on, or is this something, I'm sure you're probably aware of that too. Is that something that kind of comes down in your family, or is this something that you sort of wanted to do on your own? Could you talk a little bit about that?
Well, I didn't grow up with my father like many African-American young males and women. I didn't grow up with my father. I found my father when I was like 35. Okay. So all this information about Garrett Morgan, I knew who Garrett Morgan was, but I had no clue that he was my great uncle. Okay. And once I started meeting family members like Sandra Morgan, the Picketts and things of this nature, I started hearing stories like my sister, Christine Morgan. They started telling me about the farm and things of this nature. I always knew something was in me to help people. I didn't know that I come from Garrett Morgan stock. I just always knew something. There was something there. And when I talked to Sandra Morgan, I had to ask her on behalf of the family, can I go out and talk about Garrett Morgan? She said, sure. But what are you doing? Garrett Morgan did what he had to do. The question is, what are you doing?
Right.
I was like, wow, is this the mob?
I saw the story not too long, well, it's been about 3-4 years of the stuff that he went through, because actually wasn't called a gas mask, it was called a breathing apparatus. And what it did was it kind of like drug on the bottom below the smoke and stuff. Because you know how they tell you when you're in a fire, you got to get on your knees and crawl out so you don't get it. So that's where the clean air was. But he couldn't sell it at all. And what he had to do, he had to get a white guy to be the company to sell it. And he played as an Indian, to go into the teepee with the whole bunch of smoke and come out with it to show them, to demonstrate how it was, so they could sell it to fire departments.
It was called a smoke hood initially, yeah. You're right, it was called a smoke hood initially, and that sort of evolved into the gas.
Okay. Can you see this book?
Yes.
Okay, this is one of the books I get from my information. Matter of fact, me and my cousin Sandra Morgan, she did a presentation. I was just there with her, and they signed a copy for me. And here's another book I use for the children. It's called The Unstoppable Garrett Morgan. So these are two books that I get my information from when I have to, read up on my family history.
Well, they say he sold the traffic light for $76,000 to General Electric.
That's correct.
But $76,000 at that time, was
yeah.
You would work with that.
Yeah. Okay, well, to me, it's nice to see that you're working with the youth. Do you work with youth outside of juvenile justice centers, or is that your particular cup of tea to try to reach the youth that probably need the help the most?
No, we work with all the youth.
Oh, okay.
Like I said, we had it at Hope Academy. We had it at Marcus Garvey. So we work with all of you. And I want to say this: we work predominantly with African American males, but we also work with the females, and we also work with all other nationalities: Caucasians, Hispanics, Native Americans. We try to work with everybody.
So you work with all youth.
Okay. Right. Our main focus is African Americans.
Okay. All right. That's good.
Like I said, in my wards, the pregnancy rate for 15 to 19-year-old young ladies is 70.
Mike, you froze on us. I don't know what happened, but hey, Mike, you froze on us.
Somebody's not getting the message across.
Yeah. Could you repeat that, Mike? You froze on us
Okay.
when you went to. Yeah.
Oh, y'all. Probably Ken Johnson doing that.
Mike, you said, Mike, you froze again, and you said that.
Yeah, you froze again.
Louder.
Mhm.
Okay, but 74% should scare people.
Right.
74% teen pregnancy rate in Ward 4.
It should scare people.
That just tells me these kids need something else to do, There's
Exactly.
nothing to do.
Yeah, they do. They do. And they need, I think they need different role models too. I mean, some of the role models they have, I hate to bring up Cardi B and Megan Thee Stallion, but
Right, but you
don't see women of other races doing what they do.
You see little kids out twerking and stuff. Hey, and this is the thing. They got little boys twerking now.
Right.
This is crazy.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
They want to be, but that's because of the incarceration and the men not being there and the pregnancy and the man just walking away from the woman that's pregnant. And here we go. So now they're picking up the traits of a woman. They want to wear makeup. They want to wear shorts that look like girls. They want to wear, you seen these pictures on Facebook where these guys got tuxedos and dresses and stuff on, skirts and stuff. They want to feminize our young men and stuff. That's crazy. And nobody's saying anything.
But we got the platform, and then we got people who are interested in making a changing this,
Yeah, I think because a lot of the parents aren't in the house, I think a lot of them get raised in the street,
Right.
And by television and media.
Yeah, by television and media, and the whole nature, I think the whole neighborhood dynamic is different now. Because I grew up in a neighborhood, even if your father wasn't there, it was several men on the street, whether it was the barber or, I lived on 125th Superior. And if you didn't have a father in the house, a lot of the time the nation would come get you and take you to church, and they'd look out for you. They'd take you to mosque, and they would look out for you in the neighborhood. So there were always men around. Yeah.
The FOIs would come get you.
The FOI would come get you. That's right. And they would, make sure you did what you were supposed to do. And if they heard about you not doing what you were supposed to do, they come get you.
Yeah, they say pull your coat. Yeah, they definitely make sure you were on point.
Yeah. But they were always.
They would pull your card. They would pull your card.
They would check. They would take you home and check you. In front of your parents, and your parents would say, "That's right," and you better listen to them, But I don't see that, in neighborhoods a lot now. I guess maybe it's coming back a little bit where you have other men who are available to kind of mentor these young guys and talk to them. And I think mostly because people are reluctant to get involved with someone else's child. I think that may be part of it. And, it's, a lot of them just, it seems like there's a shortage of male. I don't say there's a shortage of male role models, but it just doesn't seem like you see that, as much as you used to. Well, what do you think the reason for that is? Anybody can answer that.
Hey, Mark, Robert, let me jump in for 1 second.
Mm-hmm.
Like you had mentioned, a lot of people don't want to get involved with somebody else's child.
Mm-hmm.
And, Spike Lee had a little segment in one of his movies, Do the Right Thing, where an old guy on the street, he was kind of like, I guess, like perhaps, for lack of a better term, the neighborhood pump. He just hung around. But he saw a little guy about to get hit by a car, and he pulled him out of the way, and the little kid fell down, but he was crying. Then his mother come out without hearing the story. She wants to jump on the guy to just save the kid's life,
Yeah, why'd you throw my kid down?
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
I know
we
how
got
they
to
feel.
try to get back to that village concept, I'm thinking.
Yeah,
I know how they feel. I walked up in the group of girls that was and guys that was attacking another girl, and basically they was hitting me, and I just grabbed the girl, but they was about to kill her. and got her out of the middle and stuff. And then the mother was like, "We had no business doing that." There was about 13 people out there getting ready to beat this girl's butt.
Right.
Walked up in the middle, took her out of there, and made sure that she was safe. And the people backed off after that. But the mother was like, you had no business doing that. You put your hands on my child. I said, "You want me to throw her back?" Want me to throw her back? Because I believe she did that because she just couldn't say thank you.
Right. That just shows you how messed up people are, though.
That girl half to death.
So what one of the things we do on the show, we always like to state the problems, and then we like to propose some solutions. And I think one of the solutions is what Adam is doing. Things like what he's doing. What are some of the other solutions, Adam? Do you think we could employ? Because I don't know, the youth today seems to be less
engaged.
Yeah, less engaged. In the political system, they seem to be more violent. They don't seem to have a long-term plan for success. I know when we came up, we all had aspirations of doing something. I want to do this, or I want to do that, and I think I'm going to do this. But I talk to some of the young guys now, and you say, "Well, what do you want?" He says, "I don't know, man. I'll cross that bridge when I get to it." So what do you think are some interventions or some things we can do to maybe reach some of these young, like you say, the young kids and the young women?
One of the things we're trying to do is start teaching programs called financial literacy, and that's how dealing with how you manage your money and things of this nature. Because a lot of these children who are locked up are drug dealers and stuff like that, and some drug dealers are good with math. And so what we try to do, start talking about financial literacy and how they can manage their money and things of this nature. But one other thing, we need to talk about the family, because the family has changed. The dynamics in the family has changed. My grandmother, when I was growing up, my grandmother was about 50.
Mm-hmm.
Now you have grandmothers who are about 30,
right?
If that old.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so the family dynamics have changed. And I've seen, as a school teacher or been in the school system, I've seen teachers almost get beat up by their parents, by the child's parents. Even when their child is in the wrong, like two left shoes, parents will still come up to the school and act crazy. So a lot of times it's not, you see why the children act the way they do, because all you got to do is look at their parents.
Exactly. Right.
And,
So
and I think-
you know what? On that note, when we talk about programs and things, when I was in the Nation of Islam, they had you remember the program when you started for FOI or for the women MGT, but first thing we had to start with was how to eat to live, and then message to the black man, be about business, be about community, eat correct, because obviously a lot of people have a chemical imbalance. We got bad water, bad air, bad food, we're lead paint, drugs, all this, no guidance. So one thing I could say about the Nation of Islam, it was definitely a wake-up message and a wake-up program for the community. And the results they had were astounding in terms of what they did. Take people, you could be, whether it was a drug addict, wherever you were, they would bring you up to a certain standard, and then people went on from there, in other directions. So something similar or some of them principles, I think, need to be reapplied. What do you think, Adam?
I believe that as well. I was about to tell you a story as far as the parents are concerned. I was in the club with some of my frat brothers, and I was a substitute teacher at the time at Warrensville. So you at the club and you see a woman go by, and she, when you chose by a woman, that means she chose you, and you know what that means. And so I'm on the dance floor with her, and she says, "You don't know me, Mr. Morgan?" I said, "Oh." It seemed like the record just stopped. I said, "I can't dance with you." She said, why not, Mr. Morgan? I'm messing with some of the teachers up there anyway. I said, "What? How stupid do you think I am? If you messing with, you telling on them, and if I decide to do that, Then you're gonna tell on me. I said, how did you get in here anyway? Well, I got a fake ID. I said, well, I had one of them. I'll let that slide. But where's your mother at? What would she say? Oh, she wouldn't say nothing because she right over there.
I've seen that happen.
She brought. I came in with her. I came up here with her.
Yeah, I came up with her.
Yeah, it's yeah. I don't know. You got
Yeah,
to
tell
start
me this.
somewhere. I guess
Tell me this: what are the future holds for the International Man of Excellence?
Say that again.
What are your future plans for the International Man of Excellence?
Well, I want to have a facility for the International Men of Excellence so we can bring children there so they can be in a safe environment. They can have some place to go where they feel safe. And just like a building, a small college. In my younger days, I wanted to build a Timbuktu for the International Men of Excellence. But as I get older, I think those ideas have have gone away. But to answer the question, one of the things I would like to have a building or a small little area so that we can deal with things with these children, because these children are going through a lot right now. A lot of these children got mental issues. I tell them I'm bipolar. They're like, Mr. Walker, I'm bipolar too. How do you work with that? Or they got drug problems, or their mom's on drugs, their father's on drugs. They got all types of situations. They got anger issues. They don't know how to control their anger. I want to have like a little small college to deal with these certain things, so they can go to one building and just walk to the next building, or be able to solve all their problems in one building.
Mhm.
So if somebody wanted to donate to your organization, how would they do it?
We have a 501c3. Matter of fact, I was just telling Mr. Vaughn that I messed up on some paperwork and I got to send in $25 to get it reinstated. But that's what you would do. You would just donate it to the 501c3.
And the name of it is
The International Men of Excellence.
International Men of Excellence. Okay. All right. Okay.
Got an address or something, or PO box that they,
The address is 1375 Cleveland Heights Boulevard, Suite 202, Cleveland Heights, Ohio, 44121.
Can you give it to them again, sir?
1375 Cleveland Heights Boulevard, Suite 202, Cleveland Heights, Ohio, 44121.
Thank you.
That's the International Men of Excellence. Okay.
Correct.
All right. Okay.
And I wanted to, if I can,
Sure.
do a little promotion.
Mhm.
Tomorrow, it's tomorrow, the 6th. We're teaming up with an organization called Reach Community Network, and they're having a meet and greet at the Kappa Compound, which is on 2310 Fletch Street in Warrensville Heights. It's from 5 to 7. So it's there to network, volunteer opportunities, things of this nature. So
Is that Fletch or Felch?
Mhm.
Felch.
Okay.
So-
See, I know where it's at.
Okay.
So if you got time, come on out and join us.
Okay. Let's talk for a minute about leadership. One of the things that issues we've addressed on the show a number of times is the lack of leadership and the lack of people grooming the next generation of leaders. Now, throughout your organization, is that something that I'm sure it's something you have in mind. Is that something you focus on? Is grooming the next Adam Morgan or the next Mike Shomo, or grooming the next generation, to kind of pick up? Because it seems like, when I look back when, we were younger, it seems like there were a lot of leaders in the community and all of a sudden there was none. And now it seems like they're coming back. So is that something you guys focus on, or something that you think is necessary to sort of continue the service and groom leaders for the next generation or two?
Yes, we try to let them understand that I'm not perfect by no stretch of the imagination. People say, well, I'm like, I don't know, it depends who you talk to. But I'm not perfect, but I'm striving every day to become a man. Every day I learn, I'm on this earth, I'm learning what it is to become a man. And I tell people, if they, well, I want to be the next Malcolm X. Well, go look in the mirror, because you could become the next Malcolm X. You could become the next Dr. Martin Luther King. You become the next Harriet Tubman. But some leaders are born. Some leaders are grown into leadership. And by the actions that we do, we just don't talk about it. We be about it. And we try to let them know, like, look, we're here for you. Show consistency, not just talking, and bringing things to these children and say, hey, you know what? There's one program. I have another program that I'm running out of Shaker Heights. Well, I'm the advisor. It's called Max Scholars. And one little boy got up and said, I want to be just like you, Mr. Morgan. And I'm like, man, you can be better than me. I'm saying you could be better than me, because if I had people in my corner as I'm trying to be in your corner as a youngster, I could be a whole lot farther than where I'm at. But I'm where I'm at because the Creator put me where I'm at. So the answer to the question is, we do try to make these young people into leaders, because some of them are already leaders. They just don't know it.
Okay, all right. Another thing I wanted to address too, a lot of times we focus on the young men, and I don't think the young women get left out, because a lot of the political leadership now in the Black community is, I won't say it's all female, but females seem to be kind of stepping up to the plate. Do you think that we need to kind of focus on females too, or do you think that the young Black males are the ones that really sort of need that grooming?
We need to focus on the males and the females.
And the females. Okay, that was.
It's not just one or the other. I mean, we're smart enough as a people to be able to multitask and be able to deal with not just one gender, but we can deal with both genders, because we both in trouble.
Okay, all right.
I'm glad you said that, because some people think that it's just the male that's in trouble, but you see a lot of the young girls that are confused about relationships and about working and about trying to gravitate to a person or people or organization that could help them get to a place where they would exceed in expectations.
Okay, all right, okay. Yeah, Burl, did you have a comment on that, male and female?
No, definitely both. Even though Jawandra Kandrufu wrote that book, Countering the Conspiracy to Destroy Black Boys, I know somebody's got some countering conspiracy to destroy Black women and the family at that. We see these kids are bombarded by so much stuff, the media and different ideas, so much process, much more than we had when we were coming up. And also the fact that we had some guidance, but some kind of way, just like Adam's got this great organization, and there are some others too. But what I think we as a community have to do is connect the dots and join hands, and all these people work in harmony.
Right.
We're just not just duplicating for no reason. But if we all figure out, okay, we got these certain things to do, you'll take care of this area, and you'll take care of the other area. Okay, you'll bring the women up to speed, you'll bring the young men up to speed. And at some point, we'll all get together, elders, and pass it on. Because, I don't believe God would give us a situation that we couldn't handle.
What?
As long as we put him in front, we put God first. There's nothing we can't stop. And generations before us, whether it was the Underground Railroad or some Hebrews leaving Egypt or whatever, everybody's had their challenge. So this is ours for this generation. And it ain't no joke either. But it's about us getting together. Go ahead, Mike.
That's one of the most important things that Adam has said about, everybody gets a little money trying to stay survive and do this. We don't have anybody managing all the organizations. Well, say if you're doing this, we're gonna see that you get this grant to make sure that this happens. If this one is doing, maybe even say like, hey, okay, we know that you're doing this other person is doing this. Why don't y'all combine your efforts together to get this, and we'll see that you get that money to do what you need to do. Because the nonprofits, they the foot soldiers. They the foot
Right.
soldiers. You get these other organizations doing stuff, these big organizations, and they having the big all kind of functions and stuff to raise money. But you look at the neighborhood and it's still the same thing. You say like, well, what are y'all doing? Oh yeah, we had a big event. We got $100,000.
Yeah,
Okay,
that ain't the way. As a community, we got to demand that some of this money, 50,
exactly.
$100,000 a year to incarcerate one prisoner, and Adams trying to take peanuts and change the lives of hundreds of boys. Now, that don't make sense. You
Don't
know,
make sense
now
at
just
all.
think about all the kids who went to jail for, let's just say, stealing. Okay, what would happen if we took that money and gave from one prisoner and gave four guys $25,000 a year job?
You
Now
know
they're
who?
contributors to society and whatever. They're taxpayers. They're not
Mhm.
causing trouble, and they're not as much of a burden on the system. They're a help. But you know what? Cleveland, like you had mentioned the statistic, Mike, about the pregnancy in the young girls. Another thing I read recently, and Robert, you mentioned this too.
Mhm.
Cleveland is the poorest of all the major cities in the United States. That does not make sense. So the fact that this is ground zero for change, this is where it's got to start at.
Mhm.
Guys
Well,
like Adam, councilmen like Mike, Robert, and other people, we can get together. Let's change this city and make it a blueprint for other major cities around the country that need this kind of help. We can do it. We just got to work together.
Okay.
let me tell you something. You got people that don't even live in Cleveland making the decisions for Cleveland. They live out in Bay Village and all these other places. It's just like uh, when they were talking about, and they're still talking about, what they're going to do is build a bridge from the back of Lakeside to go all the way over to the stadium, a walkway. Cost $212 million. What they feel, yeah, the Browns guys don't do it and this that, but what about the neighborhoods? Because see that stadium with the price of the seats, the average Clevelander that lives in the inner city can't even afford to go to the stadium.
Right.
Most of the time, you see these kids going to the stadium. Some organization had bought tickets and stuff and brought them in. Now, the other one is the Hopkins Airport. They're getting ready to spend $2 billion to upgrade that. What about the neighborhood?
Well, see, you know what, Mike? That's the thing. When you become council and then Shear becomes mayor, and then we got to get other people like Adam and Robert, and we got to say, hold it, we're going to put the brakes on this project unless the money goes to the inner city,
I'm not
because
scared.
what we've got is a garden, meaning the downtown area and the airport and the stadium and all that, surrounded by a graveyard, because the city outside of the city is dying, and we're supporting this elitist group in the center.
Right.
We got to demand some change.
Is that because you think people don't vote as
That's
much as they should?
Voting is a big part of it, but part of it's the lack of activism. There's apathy, and the fact that we see these so-called leaders
Leadership.
and elected
Leadership.
officials
Because these leaders
they
make
were
deals.
elected to do, and we don't do anything. There's got to be some follow-up.
Okay. All right.
Reflect back to Alan.
I think we've covered some great issues, and hopefully we've opened some eyes. Unfortunately, we won't solve them tonight, but we're not going to stop doing the work that we do. And before we close, I just want to say thank you, Adam, for being on the show, and you're certainly welcome to come back when it's convenient, because we need to hear about the good work you're doing and tell people about
You
it.
need to update us.
You
Update
need
us
to
on what's
update
going
us,
on.
right.
Is there anything that we could do to help you, Adam?
Oh, Mr. Shomar, I will get right back to you on that. But
Okay.
I just want to say it was an honor and a pleasure. Always to be an honor and a pleasure to talk to people who are old, African American men who are older than me, that can guide me through through this journey that I've put myself on.
Okay.
Right.
And I also want to mention that in terms of leadership, Mike Shomo, one of our own, is running for city council in Ward 4, Cleveland. And we hope, that more people will become engaged, because I think that is the key, is to get like-minded people engaged. So Mike, you want to say a few words about how if someone wants to donate, if they want to help you, how they would be able to do that?
Yes, we're building the website now, but if you want to donate, you can send a check to elect Mike Shomo at 12528 Griffin, Griffing Avenue, Cleveland, Ohio, 44120. And any amount, you just send it. And what we want to do is we want to make some changes, and we want to help Adam do some things, because of some of the things that he's talking about are the things we want to do to have a facility to help people. Because, you look through Ward 4, there's really not a facility. There's a lot of land that we could do. Even the old Audubon middle school, what is that place doing? So there's a lot of things that we could do, if you got the right people in. And of course, I've been a manager for 40 years, and I have the expertise and the management skills to deliver the program that I have.
Well, I just think, Adam, I just think I heard you have a supporter in a leadership position. So we'll come back to this in a few months, but I think that's what I just heard. Did you hear that, Vero?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and I think that networking and is what we have to do.
Adam does good work. I appreciate him. I worked with him before. Things just got a little crazy for me, but I still support him, and I still try to keep up with him.
Okay, great. Verl, any closing thoughts?
I want to thank Adam for being here. Adam, I'd just like to say, keep up the good work. In addition to financial literacy, I hope you can help add civic responsibility and morals and ethics to the organization. And we got a lot of information we got to feed into these children's mind. And just like you mentioned, this education of the Negro, Carter G. Woodson, we got to apply those principles. And I think one of the things that he says in his book, it says one of the most important things a person can be is a servant, to his people, his community. I'm kind of paraphrasing that, but to me, that's where it's at. And I see you doing great work like that, Adam. So keep it up, and any help we can give you, we're here.
We're here. Okay.
Thank
you. Go ahead, Adam. Were you going to say something?
No, I just said thank you.
Okay. All right. Well, to our viewers, we appreciate you letting us into your homes tonight. And like I said, I hope we've raised some important issues, and there is an opportunity for you to get involved if you want to be involved. Unfortunately, our time is up, but we do thank you for yours. So until next week, I'll say stay safe, have a good day, and help Mike Shomo and Adam. And with that, good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Thanks again, Adam.
All right.